What's the best way to splatter paint? Let's look at 10 different ways of using splattering within realistic paintings and find out, shall we? Okay, scrap printing paper, that'll do. I'm going to pull that there, kind of a shorter piece, got all bits lying around the house here. You can tear the paper as well, so you've got a nice rough kind of curved tear, but I think that will do for me for now. So what we're going to do is splattering. I like splattering because it's good fun and there's no control hardly whatsoever when using it. So you just have to be careful how much you do. So here we go. This is my old mixing brush, and it's an old acrylic painting brush. And I like anything that's got a stiff bristle like this. Let's go into our greens first of all. If you bring your finger back like that, okay, and then you can splatter very lightly, like this, onto the paper. See the idea? And it's creating texture all the time. Let's bring that piece down a little bit lower. I'm going to do it mostly towards the right hand side. Tell you what I might do, let's put a little bit down here as well. You've got to be careful not to go sideways, because if you go sideways, what will happen is it will shoot underneath the paper and then onto the background. Then have to cover that up with kind of, well, grass blades really. Just down there. Makes a mess of your finger when you're doing this, but that's okay. Just a few down that area will do, so I need to paint lots of grass. Okay, so that's that one colour. Now let's go for the browns. I'm going to make sure I can tap some of this off first though, so it's not too wet. I don't want big blobs of water coming off that. And then I can start to flick and splatter with some finer marks. See what I mean? So it's really fine on there, isn't it? But what you need to control is how much paint you've got on that brush. Too much paint, as I say, then the splatters are far too big. Okay? If you do it sideways, it will skim across the paper. If you do it directly above, which you can't see because I've got my hand in the way, then it could be just fine dots. So it depends on what kind of effect you're after when you're working with this. If it goes too much like that, you can tap it with your finger and just smudge it a little bit. That'll help. Or get some kitchen roll and just lift it off. So now we've got the splatters on there. What you can do is fine tune that. So I can go into my purple colour, which is just on camera there, nice and watery. And I can add this in now, just very lightly, over the top to create a bit of a hill, or hump if you wish, around that area. Then lightly soften that down. And that's softening those details down underneath as well. And you can add more splatters over the top if you want to as well. Why not? Why not? Now splattering is something I do on a regular basis when I'm working with wood or texture. So I've got the basic background colours in for this wood I'm working on now. So I'm going to cover that up, okay, with my printout as you can see here. And I'm going to splatter, get some tape, tip it down, all that area down there. So what you want to do, pull your finger back and then do that, okay, splatter. Now you can see that's too much on the brush. I always test it first of all. Tap it on some kitchen roll just once, take some residual paint off and then start splattering. Got the idea? So that's what you want to do when you're working with splatter. Okay, as you can see I've started. I'm trying not to have too much paint on this brush tip as you can see here. Just to get some basic texture on that paper. And we're painting a lot of detail over this yet. So it's all for the background effects, that's all we're after at the moment. Let's go for a little bit of burnt umber. Try that one. Just get that background texture. As simple as that. And that is it. That's how quick you can splatter something. To make a right mess of something, can't you? Right, and you can see it's still got the shine on it, but it's starting to dry. And because it's starting to dry, I'm going to get my old acrylic mixing brush, load it with water, get my kitchen roll, give it a tap, and then very lightly flick. We've done this before with other paintings as well. Just not too much though, don't go mad with this. You want this as the painting starts to dry. If it's too wet, it could just blend in. I want to create a feeling, just a feeling, I've got a feeling of snow coming down. If it doesn't take when you first do one of these kind of passes, very lightly flicking like that, that's all I'm doing, then just give it a chance, give it another minute or so. then come back in and try again. Try around the kind of edges first of all. See, that's not taken there. That means it's still too wet. And around there. Just a few. Doesn't matter if this goes on the bird. Because only water, clean water is all I'm using. And then down here. Look at that for an effect. Lovely. Because we'll be adding some snow effects into this as well once it's dry. I think that should just about do. Okay. So let it dry naturally at room temperature for 2, maybe 3 hours. You know when it's dry because it goes nice and flat all over again, which is what you want it to do. And it's really, really watery. Ah, that's better. Something like that. I'm going to splatter this. I know. Well, I'll put another piece there and we can play with that. So remember what to do with the splattering? Just get splatter happy and have fun with it. So let's go for it. So here we go. Splatter, 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 splatter. You can sort of direct it a little bit. Not very easily though, I have to admit. So this just adds to the texture underneath when we put that white on. And then when the white's on, we can do the same again, can't we? We can add more over the top, just by very lightly splattering. But a lot of this will show through as well, which is really good. And that's what I want it to do. I'm going to get some milky version of that now instead. Tap some off, and then very lightly, just splattering, just into that air there. That's it. I mean, how bad? We don't know how high that goes because it doesn't show it on the photograph, does it? So we can just splatter the sky in places like that, just to add the extra effect. See how I spilled a little bit there? I'm not worried about that because the next stage is a bit more fun, and that is splattering. We're going to splatter with the masking fluid. So you're going to lower the brush up. Okay, this is a very stiff bristle brush, this one. And you're going to pull it back like that, and you're going to let it go. Like so. Just keep splattering all over the place. And I'm going to use this for the first layer, if you wish, the first layer of the sand. But you can see how fine this can be as well. I mean, you can use 2 brushes, or anything like this really, and then you can tap it that way around as well. But I tend to find you get the blobs tend to be a little bit too big that way around, so I prefer to kind of flick it. Just wipe your finger afterwards, it's not a problem, is it? And I'm doing this just around the immediate area really. We don't need to put sand everywhere, do we? Well, you can if you want to, it's entirely your choice. Okay, a bit more up there. I'm going to lessen the amount that's further away. Because it's further away, you find it won't be quite as detailed up there. So we need that area to be a little bit lighter when we add in the colours over the top. Now, the first layer of this kind of splattering technique is going to be working with watery consistencies. And as we go along, we'll start to thicken these colours. Okay, got that? I don't want too much on the brush, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Because if I get a piece of paper and I splatter that on the paper, they're too big. And the reason why is because I want all this background area. I'm going to start from the top first and work my way down. I want all this background area to be quite pale, very small dots, not too big, not too bulky. So I'm going to take most of this off until it's nearly all gone. Make it a right mess here, aren't I? There we go. And then I can start to flick onto the paper to add the smallest of marks around the back area here. Look how much bigger they are down here, the dots I'm making. So you have to remember that. So you want the ones closer to you further down towards the foreground, obviously larger in size. Some small ones as well, so you're going to vary that size in there like we did with the masking fluid. And if you wanted larger ones, I said about tapping on another brush. If I just get an old brush a minute, burnt umber, and I can tap it like that. You have to load the brush though fully. Don't wipe any off, and then look at that one. And then you can tap larger splodges on the sand as well, but only for this lower area. Now at this stage, if you wanted to, you don't have to, but if you wanted to, then you can give it a little bit of a splattering. I'm going to put my piece of paper there to protect our butterfly. Get your brush, load it up. Where's my kitchen roll? I've lost it. Then tap it just a couple of times on some kitchen roll and then very lightly flick. What this will do, it will start to add a little bit of texture to this. I know we're going to be covering a lot of this up, but this will do to start with. Look at that, lovely. I love this effect. How much you do is entirely your choice. And that is all we need to do. Oh, I might do a little bit more down there actually, because we'll be adding those details in over the top, as I say. Oh, there we go, look. Don't go too mad with it. A little more on there, just catching the edge of that one. Just make sure your paper doesn't touch anything that's wet. I've got away with that. Okay, now we've got to give it a dry, or in my case, I'm going to let it dry naturally because all these will blend and bleach out, which will be quite nice actually, for an extra background effect. This is like behind the scenes, and some of this will show through, which is nice. My mixing brush again, and I'm going to go for some pure white. So this is a opaque white, whichever one you're using. Remember, on the market there's a lot of different whites out there, from watercolour white to gouache white, or gouache, however you pronounce it. But always check to see what the opacity is. You know, because I've found that some whites, when I've researched them, tend to be semi-opaque or opaque. So bear that in mind. So same idea again, okay? Hold it back, you ready? Then very lightly, you can test it elsewhere first, but I think I'll be okay in this case. So it's not very thick on the brush. Very lightly start flicking the paint, there's not much coming off on there, onto the paper. That's better. But I want to make sure there's more splatters, if you wish, towards the top, around this area here. Get my finger, look, it's not terrible in it. Just a few around that side as well, but it's going to be more intense around this area here. So you can control this, you can decide on where you want it to go. So I'll put a few more down there, down the bottom. So I know my hand keeps getting in the way of the camera, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm just trying to make sure we can get these marks on there. Just get some more. So again, I'm concentrating towards the top section. And if you need to, move your paper out a little bit, just to there probably. Just get a few odd ones coming out of the green, because obviously where it blends out onto the paper, we'll end up with like a very sharp white edge otherwise, and we just want to vary that. The first thing I want to do is get a brush, put a little bit of water on it, and then using your finger, you pull away, but do it from a distance. Then you can splatter just 2 or 3 times, and it creates like a little starburst effect within the paint. You can just about make out some of them marks in there. Do one more time on that actually. If you get it on the pour, don't worry, we can always kind of play with the pour later on. Well, sort of thing. And then the salt, you don't need much of this as well. Lightly, just got it in my fingers there, look. That's it, plenty. Sprinkle it on. Then leave it to dry naturally. Okay, and I'll see you again when it's nice and dry, then we can brush the salt off and then put some detail over the top. Right then, here we go. Now that's nice and dry. Now before we rub that off, make sure you take any natural oils off your fingers. Give your fingers a quick dry first. Then rub off the salt. That's on there. Now you can see the effects that we've got. That's a mixture, as I say, of water splatter and table salt. Amazing, isn't it? So that's it's got quite a nice effect just on its own, but I do want to add a little bit of detail over the top of that. And I'm going to get an old brush, make sure it's an old one though, otherwise you'll end up clogging that brush up. You can actually use a little bit of soap on the bristles to begin with and protect them a little bit, but if you've got any old brushes that you're about to kind of throw into the bin, save them, because they come in really handy for doing this sort of effect. And you can see all I'm doing, look, is lightly flicking, splattering if you wish, the paper, around this area. I may go a little bit higher, actually, saying that. Just a little bit higher. I don't know how far I'll take the painting today. May just paint one brick, or we may paint a little bit of mortar as well. We'll see, I don't know. Okay, so that's splattered that for a little bit of extra texture, so when we actually get the paint all over that, we can then rub the masking fluid off to reveal the white of the paper, to add a bit more sparkle or texture to it, and we can then, if we want to, just tint it down with a bit of colour. Now you can see when I remove this masking fluid, look at that, the little white specks is left in the middle of the brick. So that's that extra texture we're looking for. So here we go, so you're going to pull the bristles back and then flick. What I suggest you do there is try this onto some scrap paper first, even a printing paper, doesn't really matter. Just to have a go first of all and see how you get on with it. It just creates that extra texture on the paper as well, that's all it simply does, as you can see. So a little bit more, and I'm just going to move that paper to there. I want to avoid our tourniquet. A little bit more there. This is now sap green, just within the central area to create that little bit of texture. Look at that. Talking of textures, if you'd like to learn more about creating realistic textures, I would recommend heading to the video top right. I'll see you there.